Good morning, friends, and welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Happy leap year. Today is the last day of February the 29th. So we're going to celebrate. We're going to leap into March with a garden tour. We're going to focus on the privacy berm, and then we're going to head over to the signature garden because the gardens are waking up and I cannot wait to share them with you. We're going to go through. We're going to look and see what the gardens look like in real time here, the very last day of February as we enter into March. And I'm going to go ahead and show you everything and give you some tips and some tricks, things that I'm going to be doing in the next coming weeks here in the gardens, and just have a fun, kind of just a friend with friend walking through the garden, just talking about all things plants. So you're going to see some activity coming. I think I hear Jerry coming. He is going to be moving some compost for me and some fertilizer, because that is what I'm going to be doing later on today, is doing a flower bed, kind of getting it ready for the season. So I think he is coming. I hear him rumbling down the road. I wanted to start here though at the driveway because y'all, tulips are blooming. It is just spring has sprung early here in North Carolina, and so stinking fun. This is the Miss Confection blend that I have over at the signature garden, and y'all, because I just keep it real around here. Oh, look, here comes Sweet Thing with some compost. I better get out of the way because he cannot see me, and we'll get smushed. So we're gonna wave as he goes by. All right, so I do keep it real around here. I have, if you can see, I have beautiful tulips on half of the flower bed. I still have a bag of tulips that never got planted that were supposed to go on the other half of the flower bed. But you know what, y'all? 'Tis life. There's grace in gardening. I say this all the time. There's grace in gardening. Do not be too hard on yourself. Do what you can, people. It is a garden. It is not a matter of life and death. We do what we can and we enjoy the beauty that is there, so enjoy that. Now, another thing that I am enjoying are these beautiful daffodils. They are just exploding in North Carolina. So happy. I planted these last year. These are from Color Blends. I do not remember the exact variety on this. I will try to remember to look it up for you, but it is a really fun, has a dark, like a dark orange on the cup, the center, and then big, huge yellow petals as far on the outside. Did them in nice big groups and clumps, and yes, we have weeds, winter weeds. You know what? Like I said, real life gardening here, folks. All right. Walking over here to the signature garden on the house side, not signature garden, privacy berm. On the house side of the privacy berm, right now, this is where we mostly have, keep a lot of the annuals. On the nursery side, the public side of the privacy berm, we really have 0 annuals over there. It is filled with perennials and shrubs and trees. On the house side, because my husband does enjoy lots of annual color, this is where we do mass plantings of annuals. So what annuals are we planting or looking at right now? We are looking at tulips. You were with us when we planted the thousands of tulips here in the privacy berm. 3 sections, kind of divided by the sprinter boxwoods. They are all the same blend. Again, this is from Color Blends. This is Super Collider, and Super Collider is a blend that has early, mid, and late bloomers in it. This is a beautiful combination of yellows and red and a purple. And they really are kind of all a little bit of a different bloom style type. This yellow is just, it hasn't really fully opened yet, but it is like a double. Then look at that sweet red. And then the last ones that are going to be blooming are the purples. So you can see the purples in there as well. So this is going to be really fun to see these all filled in and nice and blooming. They are short. I have Color Blends go ahead and pre-chill my bulbs for me, because here in the south where I am, North Carolina is zone 8A. You've got to like fake them out for winter. We don't stay cold enough for a long enough period of time. So if you have tulips and you're in the warmer zones, you're going to need to pre-chill them in the fridge, or just let Color Blends do it for you. It was like a flat fee of like $30 to pre-chill all of them. And if you have a good number of them and you don't have a refrigerator dedicated to bulbs, y'all, it's worth every penny just to let them do it. Love it. But you can see we have got the phlox is starting to come up. Both we have, let's see, right here, this is like the Illuminary series. I think this is ultraviolet. And you can see some green is popping up there. And then we have the opening act. Opening act phlox is going to be kind of that mid bloomer as far as phlox. The ground phlox is blooming right now. Then opening act, and opening act is the series, and it's all of those clumps of green. So they will be ready. And then finally we have the paniculata phlox, which is this luminary phlox. That is just starting to come out of dormancy and doing well. They're coming back. So that's always nice to see some new growth coming back after a winter. I think every gardener sometimes kind of holds their breath in that, going that transition from winter into spring, because you're like, are they coming back? I don't know. But what is coming back, look at this. I showed you this, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks, some weeks ago with the sedum. You can see this one sedum, I went ahead, I did it with you on video, and I just went through and snapped off all the old foliage. You can see the other 4 still have their foliage attached, but look at that beautiful, nice green growth on this perennial sedum. Nice and tight, so you can see how big it is with my hand. Really, really fun. I am going to need to trim back my Russian sage. I like for my Russian sage, that's what all these little gray stalks are right here. I like for them to flush out a little bit of new growth before I cut them back. It's very similar in my experience in my garden that I had the most success, because we have such heavy clay soil that holds water, is that I like to shear them back. Brenda has a very large stick. She about took my knees out. I like to shear them back once they start to have some green growth come back on them. So once I see some growth on them, then I will cut them back pretty severe, at least by half, and that way they get all this beautiful foliage, you know, fresh foliage popping up. So I will trim it back by about half, if not just a little bit more. The Artemisia is coming back already. This is the silver lining. This is the new one from Proven Winners. So we've got 2 here, and they are nice and tight, flush, happy growth that they are coming back. Other things are still pretty quiet in here. For us, our Shasta daisies will be a semi-evergreen, so they're kind of hanging in there, doing just fine. Echinacea, we've got echinacea in here. You can see that there is some green growth, so that's very encouraging. This is the fuchsia is bright. I have them in a couple, I think I have like 5 in here in a clump. I do worry sometimes with my thick clay soil, and we have such historically wet winters, that I lose sometimes echinacea in the wintertime, and it kind of is what it is. Let's see what else. Ooh, here we have Nepeta. This is the chartreuse on the loose. You can see that where I had sheared it back, so you can see the old growth. New growth is really starting to pop. This is a great new Nepeta from our friends at Walter's Gardens that is available online, so you can look at that, and we'll have it, of course, here at the nursery as well. But that's such a fun, bright chartreuse color, and when these guys really flush out in the summertime, they completely take over this entire spot. And these really pretty blue flowers on them, just lovely. And the pollinators, oh my gosh, they love it. Now, if you have butterfly bushes, these are all Pugster Pinkers in here. If you have butterfly bushes, you will need to prune them, because butterfly bushes bloom on new growth. Doesn't matter what kind of butterfly bush it is, you're going to need to prune it. Again, very much like my Russian sage, I like for it to start to pop out new growth. For us, as you can see, our Pugsters and our butterfly bushes, we call them semi-evergreens. They're not going to completely defoliate like a hydrangea will, but they're certainly not very thick and lush as they would be in the summertime. Once I start to see some new growth pop out onto the stems and the plant, then I will shear it back. You can easily do it back by half. And with the pugsters, even though they are petite butterfly bushes, you still can give them a nice prune. So like for example, this guy right here, a little bit misshapen, and you can see that we've got some nice tight growth coming in here off of that stem. We're getting close, but I know that we're still a little early. We're gonna get some really cold weather again. It's just inevitable. So what I would do for this guy is really just shape it up. So we've got a really long, strong leader right here. We've got one that's kind of going rogue here. I just want the plant to have a nice, pretty overall shape. So that is what we're going to do. The little green clumps that maybe look like onions, those are daffodils as well, that are going to be blooming here later. So these are going to be later bloomers than some of my other ones. And this is the north side of north is this way. So this doesn't get as intense sun as like the chicken coop, which is in full bloom. And so anyway, so that just kind of gives you an idea, but I love that the bloom time is extended. Then coming on down here, everybody else down here is doing great, just kind of hanging out. I cannot wait to see how my Winecraft Gold Smoke Bush does this year. So here we go. That is the Winecraft Gold, completely defoliates, but it is a beautiful chartreuse color, really fun shaped leaves on it. And then I have all the way around it, there are 3 summerific Holy Grail hibiscus, which have that really dark foliage and red blooms. So you've got the chartreuse against the dark with the red. Gorgeous, absolutely so much fun. Now, what we're gonna do, let's head over to the signature garden because it is starting to wake up. I have seen some fun new growth popping up. The tulips over here are going to be a little bit more delayed because they do not get the level of sun that the privacy berm and the front of the house gets. So for example, here in front of the pergola, we have, this is still the Super Collider tulip blend. So it is the exact same blend that is on the privacy berm, right? And you can see how much more delayed these are. You're gonna start to see, like I see my very first one over here, and get Brenna out of there. Oh, yeah. There is a yellow tulip that is getting ready to pop open. And so again, it is going to be a little bit more delayed, which is perfectly fine with me. That does not bother me one little bit because it just extends my bloom time. So depending on where your bulbs are in your garden, it doesn't matter if they're daffodils or tulips or crocus or snowdrops, whatever, right? Your bloom time is going to be dependent on where they are, how much sun they get, and how warm it is. So as we come across to the signature garden, I used a lot of the Super Colliders because I had a lot of bulbs, y'all. Here we have right entrance to the signature garden, and in front of the Sprinter Boxwoods, we have again the Super Collider blend. This is kind of in a mid stage, so it's a little bit between the privacy berm and the pergola bed. So we've got some yellow, we've got some red popping up down here. This is going to be really fun. Once these tulips are done, because tulips for us here in North Carolina, these tulips are considered annuals. They, like I said, we have to pre-chill them. We don't have, our winters are not long enough to produce those nice big flowers every year. So for us, tulips are annuals. I know that really bothers some people, but it is what it is, y'all. In the South, you know, we don't reliably get them. If I left them in here and I planted around them, then next year I would get some foliage back, and I may get a sporadic bloom here or there, but I'm not going to get anything like the display that I am when I treat them as annuals. So yes, at the end of the season, when they're all done blooming, we pull them out and they go into the compost pile. It is a fact of gardening. So that is what we do. We're going to plant this entire 2 banks because these are companion beds right as we come across to enter into the garden. So both of these beds have the same tulip blend, and they will be planted en masse of the Supertunia Vista Jazzberry. That is the annual of the year. So we'll do massive amounts of petunias from the sprinters all the way down that will, as they grow, will spill over into the rocks. As we go across, the pansies and the violas are doing well. We have, our first color of smooch. Oh, it's so funny how things just explode so quickly. I was just over here 2 days ago and we had no color in the tulips. Now the tulips are starting to show that color. So this is smooch. Smooch is, no, this is not. I'm sorry. Smooch is at the house. This is Miss Confection. Okay, get it straight, Jenny. So Miss Confection is a blend of two. So you have a really beautiful pink, and then coming down here, we have, if I'm not mistaken, it starts out as a super, super light yellow, and then it will turn to a real pure white. So that is what is in here. It is Miss Confection. Yes, Smooch is at the house. So Miss Confection, it is behind each of the benches here in the inner beds of the gardens, and it is all around the fountain. So you can see we have the first pink one that is popping up amongst the violas. So there you go. These violas are doing really, really well. Cannot wait to see these tulips full of blooms. So they're around all of the benches, and then back here in the back, that long bed that we have in the back, that is filled with the glitters and glows viburnum, and then we have Miss Confection filled in there as well. Starting to see some really nice color in there, and yeah. So I say probably in a week, 2 weeks, these should be really full of blooms. Now, to give you a little update, we're gonna go to hit plants in just a second, but as many of you know, we're going to be hosting a wedding in late May. Our sweet Alyssa is getting married. Alyssa is a member of our Creekside family. She is to date, our longest employee. She came to us, when she was just in early college. She is now getting married to her Nick. And so she asked if she could get married here. We were honored. No, we're not going to be open for weddings. I joke and I say, but don't joke, that you have to devote many years of blood, sweat, tears, and hard labor in order to be considered to have a wedding here. So Alyssa definitely qualifies for that. So we're going to be the site of her wedding. The wedding will be here, the ceremony, and then the reception is going to be in the backyard of the house. Earlier this week, the boys got after it, and because, as you can see, this is not the best spot for a wedding right now, is it? It is, it is bare, it is dirt. And so we came in and they got rid of all the leaves, they mowed, they aerated, and then they put down rye grass. So rye is an annual grass for us, but it is cool weather. So it will come up really quickly. It'll be beautiful and lush and green and be just fine for the wedding ceremony. Jerry came in and put mulch all the way back here because those beds, we're going to have beds back there. So the ceremony is going to take place in here. And so everything where you see where there is soil, that got seeded, and so that will come up, and that includes all the way to the side here. So I know that some people were like, why don't you have grass, or it would be nice if you did have grass? Yes. So remember, this is all sod. We put down the fescue sod, and so that's why this is so thick and lush, because it was sod, and then we seeded, and in a perfect world, we would have seeded with fescue in the fall, but that was still under construction. Things just didn't happen, so we're gonna go with it. Don't fret. I told Alyssa, I was like, Jerry absolutely adores you. He considers you like one of his daughters, and so it will be stunning for you. Even if the man is out here laying sod the night before, it will be beautiful for the wedding, no doubt. So that is kind of the update on that. Now let's talk about some plants that are exploding. Let's go over here. Can you see? Probably the first thing that really catches your eye is the double play candy corn spirea. Y'all, this is just a beautiful shrub that is deciduous, but this is what it looks like in early spring when it is flushing out that new growth. I think you can probably tell why it got its name as far as candy corn. New growth has that gorgeous yellow and oranges and some reds in there. As those leaves mature, they will turn green, and then the tips, because it has new growth, will stay that color. It does really pretty like raspberry-ish, pinky purple blooms on it. Gorgeous. See the artemisia back there? That's another one of those silver linings. So nice thick growth on that. And then our boom chocolatas. So this is that perennial geranium. They too are flushing out new growth, really nice dark foliage on it. Will be a nice good sized mound, and it'll be a really pretty color contrast between the boom chocolata and the candy corn. So that is really fun. The Achillea, this is a firefly diamond, which is going to be a white one. So it's a white yarrow. You can see how nice and thick it is. Nice, dark, dark, I don't know, green foliage. How about that? We'll just say it's green foliage. So that's really fun, doing quite nicely right there. The salvias are starting to really kind of show themselves. We have pink profusion. This is the perennial of the year and my personal favorite perennial salvia in all 4 of the beds. So they are popping up. We even have the Stand By Me pink clematis. She too is starting to show some new growth. Nice little petite growth on here. So there we go. We've got some green. And then y'all, I just saw, so right beside of me, I have a lilac. Lilacs in North Carolina can be quite challenging because we're so hot and humid. This is Per Pink. Per Pink is a new one from Proven Winners, but can you see? She's got new growth on her. So hopefully we will get some beautiful flowers. So I've got one here, and then right down here I have another one. This one seems to be maybe a little bit further along, so you can see, there we go. So the lilacs hanging in there, doing quite nicely. Let's go explore some of the other flower beds next door. So we have candy corn here, and then in the bed over here we have the double play doozy, another spirea. We have found that sometimes doozy is a little bit more hardy as far as like being able to take those colder temperatures, but it's a little bit more delayed, and definitely the new foliage is not as showy as the candy corn. So that's why, you know, just have them both in the garden, y'all. There you go. So this one is just a beautiful, right now the new foliage is that nice kind of that deepish red, kind of the maroon color. And then coming down here, the Monarda. The Monarda, the bee balm, is starting to pop up. This is lavender taffeta, and you can see that nice green growth. Again, it's always very nice to see not the dog walking in the flower bed, but your perennials coming back from year to year. And then as we mosey along, everything here is doing well. We have, this is Cat's Meow Nepeta. We do a lot of the cat's pajamas. Our friends at Walter's Gardens were kind enough to send us some of the Cat's Meow, which is gonna be a little bit of a bigger plant, and you can see that too is coming up quite nicely. We got a good bit of rain yesterday, so the garden is really well watered. You can probably see that the mulch is a little wet, the ground is a little wet, but it is all doing quite nicely. This is the upscale red velvet lavender, not lavender, upscale red velvet Monarda. Sorry about that. It too is showing new growth and coming back. Now, some of the perennials and the annual shrubs are still dormant. That is completely understandable for this time of year, right? So like my hydrangeas, these are all going to be either smooth hydrangeas or panicle hydrangeas because this is a full sun garden. They are showing no signs of life. Are they alive? Yes, they're alive. But do they have any kind of growth on them yet? No, not at all. So it's still a little too cool. So yesterday, I know if you're on the kind of the East Coast, or yeah, I would say east of the Mississippi, you're probably experiencing these crazy weather swings like we are. So yesterday when we woke up, it was 61 degrees at like 6 o'clock in the morning. And then this morning, because a cold front came through, it was in like the upper 20s, low 30s. So just a 30-degree swing of temperature within 24 hours. And so those plants are like, it's still you're still too unpredictable, so I'm not going to show any kind of signs of life right now. But everything else is just looking great. It is really fun just to see how everything is growing and developing, waking up. I cannot wait. It's like, you know, as a gardener, I think we go through these kind of like emotional swings of, I adore seeing all of the new things popping up, the tulips, the perennials waking up, the shrubs waking up. But then on the other hand, I cannot wait until they're done so that we can then put the summer annuals in. So I think as gardeners, we're constantly always that tension, that yin and yang of like, you're trying to enjoy the present, enjoy the moment that you're in, but we're also super excited about what is to come. So it's just a fun time to be a gardener. I love gardening here this time of year because it's always something new. Like literally day to day, you can go out in the garden and you will discover something that was not there the day before. It just decided to wake up all of a sudden, and then it's like, hello, I'm back. And it's just so much fun. It's like seeing an old friend come alive in the garden. It is great. So I would encourage you, this is a great time to be out in your garden. That's what Brenna and I are going to go do. You'll see that video in the next day or so, but we are going to go work in a flower bed and get it nice and fertilized and trimmed and composted and ready for spring. So the only thing that we will have to do to go into spring, summer is to plant our summer annuals in there. So I will take you along for that ride to kind of walk you through that whole process to ensure that you have a beautiful, nice growing season and nice, happy, healthy plants. But yeah, get out there in your garden if you can. I know some of you are still under snow. Some of you are experiencing the crazy weather that we are. And so you're in and you're out. So even if it's still cold, but you can see the ground, just get out there and enjoy some cold fresh air and some blue skies. Hopefully pick up some sticks, pull a couple of weeds, because you know weeds, they never go away, and just enjoy your time in the garden and dream. Even if you are covered in snow, dream and plan for the season ahead. That way you can hit the ground running when it is time. As always, we so appreciate you. Thank you for gardening with Creekside. Y'all have an amazing day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.